It's been quite an interesting, wonderful week, a week where we've seen a lot of things happening. And of course, it's your favorite show, the show we have the noisiest man in the world.
Yay!
The quietest lady, and the lady, a pastor's daughter, who actually has issue with the pastors. Can you imagine?
Keep quiet.
And of course, as usual, Wanja is here, but they'll introduce themselves. I'm your host, CEO Charles Otieno. Let's do this together.
My name is Wanja Maina. Let's do this.
Hey.
And I am Maria. Yes, I'm a pastor's daughter, a proud one. I love a few pastors, my dad. I'm also an author, love the original you, when marriage is a scam, and I'm so happy to be here. Hey, last week's show, you people, let me not say much.
And hey, I'm the noisy one, Simon says. Yes, indeed, and I'm glad that your eyeballs are tuned in. Stay right there, because we're going to keep it real with you, okay? See you.
Yeah, man.
We get started.
Okay, let's start. This week, the president, Senegal president, I love that guy. He's a good guy. He really understands. And the West African leadership, there's something about those French colonies that are coming together now, and they're seeing their value. Diomade Faye says that
Repeat his name. Repeat his name.
Faye.
His name is Fire.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
That if the public do not have to put his portrait on the walls, you know, this is a colonial relic which many African presidents have their the portrait of the president in all public and public spaces, restaurants, and it must be displayed in prominence. But he says instead of doing that, you can actually put your family's portrait so that you can look at how you can uplift them. What is your take?
I agree with that, and I'll even go further even and say, having our current president's picture in your business premises can be triggering to some of your clients. And actually make sure, and can actually make some of your clients go away.
And angry.
Yes! And not even that, it can also make even some of your employees feel like they're being watched by a tax collector. Who is adamant to make sure that every 20 bob or every 10 bob that you earn in your business is now actually make sure it comes back to the government. That is a traumatic experience that many businesses may have by having the president's picture there. That is one key thing. That is a true thing. But even I agree, even coming back to the main point of, I love this mindset of making sure that we don't put our... Just because someone is your political leader does not mean that they deserve to be put on a pedestal. That will now make us, limit us in our ability of actually now putting them in a position in which we focus on implementation. Because here's something even I want to put it in strategic way. When we hold a lot of our political leaders and we put them there on a high pedestal, we now put them in a position of, we glorify their esteem, we glorify that this is our leader, this is in whom we believe in. That's why even some of these cabinet secretary positions were celebrated. Some people in Coast, some people in Rift Valley, other people in so many, even Nyanza, different sections who are celebrating, oh, we are represented, yay, woo! We overly glorify representation, and hence we compromise implementation of services. And that is a key thing that we Kenyans need to actually now overcome, because when we glorify we glorify them too much, we forget to hold them accountable for implementation of tasks. And hey, I don't know about, because that's something I've even seen when I see the president's picture there. Where? Does it not trigger you? You're not triggered?
Gen Z effect.
Yes. Where?
Let me tell you something. I don't know if people see it as a deco. I know sometimes in some places it's constitutional for it to be there. Like in government offices, definitely will need it. No, they don't need it. They're just putting it there, but they don't like putting it there. So, I don't know. How do you go and purchase it and just hang it somewhere? I don't understand how people think. But that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is, he becomes a wallpaper in your phone. That's actually the worst. Yes. There are people who do that.
They have the president's picture.
Have you seen even filling your status with happy birthday, Mr. President? Wow. Did you do that, Simon?
Why?
Good.
I didn't even vote for him.
There is a birthday, Mr. President. That guy is very right, by the way. You should have, but having your children there does not make you feel guilty if you're a monster in the first place. Yeah. If you're a bad human being, you're just a bad human being, because making other people go through the worst will not change because you have your pictures there, because in the first place, if you and your children are going through it, only that they are going through it from a higher level whereby you can afford to fund the mistakes that you're doing. But just having the picture there does not even change the mistake that you're doing. That is one. So actually, I would say don't insult your children by putting their picture in your mistakes. That's what I'll say. But what is necessary is for people to understand one thing. You say fire. Mm-hmm. Fire is selfless. Try saying that in Kenya, and then you will understand why we have that as an interior decor in all our offices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
Wanja, what do you think?
okay, and you're truly that president of Senegal. I think he's very interesting because when he was sworn into power, he has 2 wives.
Oh, he does?
Yes, and you remember people saying, you know, we usually say first lady. Now in this case, we shall be saying, we don't know itakuwa first lady and second lady, but
no, he said both of them.
Both of them are
first ladies. One is a Christian, one is a Muslim.
Muslim. So he's
Well
quite,
done.
he's quite
first lady in different religions.
Yeah, so he's quite interesting and non-conventional, really. But also, just as CEO has said, really, there is a wave of change that is happening in West Africa. In fact, the other day someone described West Africa as a cool belt, because ukisikia Mombasa kunaenda hivi, huku kunaenda hivi, sijui wapi kunaenda hivi. There's a president mwenye alikuwa the one who was deposed, akakaa kwa nyumba. There's a meme people are using.
Yeah,
his family, is it Bongo? I don't know.
Bongo.
Yeah.
Bongo, whose father was
Gabon.
the president.
Yes.
And then now and then he was deposed after being there. Like their family has been there for 50 years.
Yes.
In this year 2024, 17 countries in Africa are going to have elections. They should have been 18, lakini South Sudan is a bit unpredictable because they are moving dates. In the whole of the world, this year we are going to have 65 elections, national elections in 65 countries. There is a wave of change that is coming, that is sweeping. In the last, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, people were asking, is America ready for a woman president? Now we are having Kamala Harris, who is seen as a frontrunner for the ticket. What am I saying? When the president of Senegal says that my picture is not really important, I think what he's trying to communicate is to demystify how people have always related with government, and to say that I'm not a god, I'm just a servant of you people. And I think that's a very beautiful message, because in coming days, I'm foreseeing him saying that he's trying to demystify the presidency. In any case, Fire is young. He should be 42, 43. So I'm foreseeing a person who has been there looking at his country from this perspective of why must we do these things this way. And West Africans have been asking questions. It is said that most of their money printing services are done in France, and there is a lot of exchange rates and a lot of bad relationship or exploitative relationship with their colonizer. So I'm foreseeing this as a way of making him be seen by his people as a progressive person. I'm near you. And then probably in coming days, he's going to hold the colonizer into account. He's going to change a lot of the way things are happening. And also by virtue of his age, he's trying to question some things that don't make sense. You've seen cases in Kenya where the judiciary or during the whatever, they wear the wigs. And someone asks, why do they wear the wigs? It has always been done like that.
And I'm sure they're sweaty.
Yeah, they are really sweaty, especially in our tropical, in our
Yes.
climate. January umevaa hii kitu. So I foresee, for me, it's just pushing and bringing about change.
I think, and you've captured a very important point about the issue with the West African countries, and basically the Sahel region, where most of them were colonized by the French. And maybe, I don't know whether I said the other time, that one of the biggest problems is the deed, what we call the independence deed they signed. The independent deed they signed was very bad because it gave the French all the first right to refuse of mining all the natural resources, which they have always been doing, and they've been cutting away all those natural resources. The second article in that deed was that no single country will have a central bank, that their central bank will be in Paris. So that means that the whims of the Paris central bank in currency devaluation is always very high. And the third one was that they are the first one to do any major projects in those countries. So there's no competitive in whatsoever when they're going to, even if it's a road to be constructed, you can't go to the Chinese. You have to ask the French first for them to agree. If they disagree is when you call someone else. So if you look at those three things, that is someone who has controlled their money, has controlled their natural resource, and has controlled their infrastructure. So it means he's left you with poverty. So these presidents are coming and realizing that we need to again actually what independence is. And you can see what Traore of Burkina Faso have done. The first thing, he said there's no export of of raw materials, of mineral or gold, that all gold will be processed in Burkina Faso. For the first time, Burkina Faso has established a central bank, which will be backed by their gold.
For the first time?
For the first time this year, when this young man, the president, became the president, Traore. And remember, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Senegal have an agreement. And that's why they want to pull out of ECOWAS, because ECOWAS is being led in a way which champions only the Eurocentric ideology, which they are seeing it does not help them. 1 year ago, or 6 months ago, Traore imported around 500 tractors and gave to all the farmers so that they can be self-sufficient in food production. What am I saying? I'm saying that these three young West African presidents have realized that they can work for the people. And it doesn't matter whether you have your portrait on the wall or under the carpet, provided that the citizens are getting something to eat and something to do their business in a free and fair environment. And that's what we need to bring here. You can see what the Bangladeshi Gen Zs did.
Yes.
They stormed the State House because they're saying, you are not taking care of us. And I think the other day I said that, remember that taxes, these portraits, were a way of raising money. We can get better ways of raising money. Even in the old colonial times, European times, they were so ignorant or stupid enough to tax people houses with more windows. So that's why those houses had no windows.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, all these taxes can give you crazy mental health issues, by the way. It's true, but you see, there was a mental health story that you had, by the way.
Let's just say, people are angry. So when you're dealing with the next person you meet, just be kind. Imagine this. You're an airline hostess. You're there, pandering people in the flight, and then this passenger comes to you. One altercation here and there, so give me a blanket, give me another blanket. It's a full-blown altercation. Before you know it, the flight cannot take off. People have to come out of the flight, sababu mambo imekuwa mingi, masani machache, and now it's a whole damage control. Watu waende, watoke, we'll get another crew, we shall apologize, tutawa refund inconvenience. Now if you think that's a story that I've made up, it happened on an Air Canada flight somewhere in Morocco. And let's assume we are just here at tupani ndege. It also happens in our matatus. Have you ever seen the way sometimes unaweza pata altercation moja na conductor, passenger, what have you, before you know it, ni kama vita, full blown. So have you ever had such experiences? Do you think it was a normal altercation ama ni mental health, watu wamejam more than necessary, ama what is it?
The main thing, here's what I would say. I like to start this conversation of, the customer is not always right. That customer is always right narrative can give a level of disgusting entitlement to many customers. even many clients, even many freelancers even out there will tell you. From photographers, even you know. Those wedding photographers, they know. They know all those headaches that they get. One thing even I've noticed is there is sometimes a bad habit of people, whenever they pay for something, they have an entitlement that indeed, for this duration of time that I've paid you to do this thing, with my little petty coins, you are my slave. And you will do as I say. And I have absconded myself of any responsibility, of any dignity. So in other words, I've paid to remove my dignity as a human, to remove my senses as a human being, to even see you as a fellow human. I see you as just a person who's providing a service. Full stop. I don't recognize you as a human. I don't recognize you as a person who actually has any emotions whatsoever. So I disregard you and I dehumanize you. Because I've done what? I've removed the coin and I've given you, and hence I've done what? I've quote unquote empowered myself to be the Lord over all. And that actually is a constant thing even I've seen in many Kenyans that sometimes happens. Whenever they get even a little coin and they're giving you and they want to pay you, after they've negotiated down to the last hair on their body, and then now literally now they want to now make sure I will get every sweat from you. That is now when you get real bad entitlement from clients and real bad people who can actually even be your clients. Even sometimes even, I like even noting, even sometimes even employers can also be the same way. Because they paid you, they expect you to do so many different things and they will milk you down to your last drop. So one thing even I would even want to recognize, even you as you were listening, even watching, are you a client that someone wants to have?
On the flip side, on the flip side, the customer is not always right, but also people who are in power tend to use that to make sure that they are noticed and more recognized that they are in power. Like, things are going my way because I'm above you, even if you're a customer. Things are going my way because I am the one who is in a position to speak right now. The reason why the customer is always right came about was because this is someone that you're going to deal with for a very short period. Then next you have someone else you're going to deal with. So why not tolerate that person for that specific time, and then you'll get a better customer next time? Because for a stewardess to treat someone the way they want, irregardless of who was wrong, it means that person has no respect for that company. Let me speak as an employer. If a customer comes and they have their issues, I'm not saying every customer is always going to be good, but a customer would come with their issues. I will understand that that is not the only customer paying me. And I will have to treat this customer, the right way, because I know that I'm not going to deal with you forever. And if my services are good, you will come back.
But you should also have qualifiers on who you serve as a customer.
Just
like how employers, they're important to have qualifiers as to who are you allowing as a client. Just because someone is coming at you rude, it should even be this sign.
And that's the point. This is the first time you've met this person. They are bad to you. Be nice. Next time, you will be like, okay, now... there are so many ways. There's no next time. And that's the point. If there's no next... This is a plane. It's not like there's someone coming to buy sugar from your shop every single day of the week.
I'm even contextualizing there in Kenya.
In Kenya, customer care is poor. Let's now start. Let's be realistic there. No, customer care, in Kenya is very poor.
In which way?
In so many ways. Let me tell you something. So many Kenyans do not have good customer care. You will call somewhere and then they will be rude to you for no reason. You will go somewhere and greetings alone, someone will look at you like you've done a crime. So in Kenya, customer care, let's be realistic, Kenyans, customer care costs should be taken a bit more serious.
Yeah, that's true. Because even sometimes customer care is given based on how they perceive how much money that you have.
That is the point.
Are you black or even white? Sometimes even something like that.
I'm speaking from experience. There are so many doors I've knocked because I went with my legs or an Uber and they did not open. But you go there driving and they're opening like they don't even ask who you are. They just want to know the number plate of the car and the name, and then you go in.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
Is rude.
Or even how you talk.
But you talk, it's still me, the same person who came and says, hi, how are you? How is your day? No, who are you coming to see? Do you have an appointment? Because I don't have a car. Come with a car, how are you? Just to give me your name and a number plate. Even their voice changes. And also another thing, sometimes it's not wise to put unqualified people on the front line. Yes. So these stewardess should not have behaved like that. I am saying that a customer may not always be right, but if you know you are dealing with someone once, vumilia. Can vumilia.
In airlines, although they did apologize, in airlines I've seen entitlement.
If they apologize, that's a marketing gimmick for Air Canada.
CEO, what do you say?
No, I looked at that story and I was wondering, no, if you're an air hostess, your job is to offer very few things on that plane. Number one is that blanket. Number two is meal. Number three is to try and sell those perfumes. Duty-free. There are three things.
And instructions and stuff like that.
And instructions comes at
the beginning.
During takeoff. Yeah. It's a 5 minutes thing. Yeah. And then you take off. When it's in cruise mode, you do not do anything. Your job is to service. They must realize that the difference between an air hostess and a waiter is the height of the plane. And if you realize that is a fact, then you must know what you've come to do there. That guy, when you are paying for that when you are paying for that ticket, and you know nowadays flying is not a cheap venture. It's a very expensive venture. People pay lots of money just to take one trip from Canada to Morocco or something. It's maybe close to 300,000 in Kenyan shillings. So you've paid a lot of money. There are people who have some phobias. They need probably to sleep so that they don't see that the height they are in. So I do not see any reason why someone who is well trained, knows the rules of the game, would just go that ballistic and become that rude. If you cannot handle that customer, there is someone in the same plane called a purser, whose job is to take care of those difficult passengers. So I think that lady just came with very many underlying issues. Probably she didn't sleep well, probably she had her own issues, probably the mental health issue. But it is wrong to mistreat people the way she did.
Actually, for me, really, just to sort of come in, you know, most of these things, because I think it was an escalation of issues. Give me a blanket. Before you know it, it becomes a full-blown thing. You know, people have always said that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Yeah. So every time and I've even noticed even with, when you see services from Kenya, like it requires a level of emotional intelligence. Like you'll call this particular place. How they talk back to you, if you talk, clearly they're the ones with issues, like even in the case of that air hostess. If you just respond to them with the same tone, it becomes full-blown. But when that emotional intelligence could help even in such situations. So in such a case where you see someone is going this way, you sort of calm down, not necessarily because you don't have the energy to quarrel, so that you can just get the blanket or not get it, and you continue with your piece. I think communication could have played a role, really, which is a skill that is important in all facets of life, particularly in cases where you are meeting an angry air hostess or an angry service provider, and how you can sort of mitigate, because they can really spoil your day. Sometimes you'll be in an office, how that person comes from nowhere, it's full-blown, so you don't know
what I've learned is, no, this is actually one tip that I'll give Kenyans. Say it with a smile and say it nicely, maybe they will hear you. And always remember this, you don't know how someone came to you or how they are going to come at you, but just be the polite one. We'll take a short break, and on that note, we realize that in airplanes we have so many content creators. We'll be right back on Let's Be Real.
The first bit of this show has been quite interesting, with us talking about the wealth, not the wealth, sorry guys. What did we talk about?
The president.
The president's portrait.
It was so much even it made you confused.
The president's
portrait.
Portrait.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And of course, poor customer care
service.
And the hostesses going ballistic on their customers.
True.
Simon.
Yes.
Maria, what do you bring us with?
Okay. Oh, church again.
We're back.
Oh, why church again? And
Praise
we
the Lord,
started.
Pastor Child. Tell us.
So there was drama in a church in actually Mwea. Wow. Just close to home. Where a husband of 58 was marrying someone else, another member of the congregation in that church. And the wife shows up to stop the wedding together with the children. Yes.
That's the drama that you chose to bring.
Yes, that's the drama that I chose to bring. 5 children, you come in to stop your husband from marrying someone else. To what extent are these pastors going to, is it feed on the sheep, eat the sheep, or feed the sheep? What do you think?
For me, I think I'm gonna go different. This woman, Harper, this woman who has just come to disrupt this thing. She's literally the woman that women empowerment now brings. It takes women empowerment 50 years back. A woman like this is the woman that women empowerment upholds against. Do you know why? A woman that's empowered will never act in desperation. She is stoic and understands herself. A woman that's empowered is not busy asking and demanding from a man like now clawing for another man who wants another woman, for a man that just wants another woman. No, she's not acting. She's moving in excellence and pride, and she knows very well that indeed I don't need to fight for a man and cause drama because I'm empowered. So literally, this woman right here is the face of women who are not empowered. Yeah. And that is the truth, because now women who's actually empowered, so women empowerment, you're missing the point here. Women empowerment needs to happen here, because what's going wrong is an act of desperation and despicable behavior when a man has clearly moved on to someone else. He doesn't want you, by the way, women accept that, and at the same time, he has moved on with someone else who is happy with him and everything that he has to offer. You and your kids, you can do what? Empower yourself as a woman who's empowered,
Simon,
and move on, and peace be with you.
Simon, you always say those things because you do not have a wife. Let me tell you something. And this is why I would be against my husband becoming a pastor, because you're not going to be embarrassing me that much. I'm okay with you moving on. Fine. Marriage did not work. It's over. We are going. But you're not going to embarrass me to marry someone that you've been preaching
But
to.
I'm not with you. Why?
What?
I've moved on to someone else. I moved on with charity. Why, Maria? Why are you bringing me issues?
And that is the point. Simon, let me tell you something. You are moving on, but leaving your baggage behind. These are your children. This is me that was your pastor, a pastor's wife, wearing those big hats and driving you and carrying your Bible to church. And this is the time that you've realized that you are in love with someone else.
Yes. And you should say amen.
If a pastor wants to remarry, and I'm saying this because it's even wrong for you to think divorce is bad. Remember, you are a pastor. If you want to remarry, yes, divorce is bad. In the Bible, it says no. So, and if you are a pastor, it's a no.
Continue.
So, if you want to remarry, kindly go look for a woman away from where I was a part of that church. And most of these churches, we have a picture of both of us. No, go look. Go look for a woman far away and just come, because I'm not gonna be a pastor's wife to my co-wife. No, I'm not agreeing to that. And pastor, stop sleeping with the congregation.
Yeah. So for me, actually, the man is 58. The man who is marrying. So I'm imagining that even if he has children, with the assumption that that is the first wife, they are not like small children. We are talking about children who are like now 20s, Gen Zs and millennials. Secondly, you know, God hates divorce, but he does not hate divorcees. So in the eyes of God, there is nothing wrong with a person who has been divorced. It's just that God appreciates that that journey of divorce is hurtful to all involved. At least in this case, the man did not harm anybody. The man did not do anything wrong. He just chose to marry someone else. And I'm also imagining that the marriage he had with that first wife was annulled so that they can marry the second one. So for me, I'm seeing this as a case of a jilted lover who decided to come and cause drama, because everybody has a right to remarry if the previous marriage has been annulled and there has been some form of finishing the other one.
Except pastors.
But really, for me, if the issue was him marrying the one of the congregants, then the wife could have looked for another church. So I foresee this as a case of, you know, there are people who are left by spouses, but they still feel like, no, you cannot leave me just like that. But you see, it's how we look at marriages, even in our society. It's a cultural thing. Ideally, if you go to the West, tukiachana nawe tumeachana, this is Simon, he was my first husband, bye-bye. But in Kenya, we measure quality by the length of time. Don't worry, whether we were married for 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, ikiisha imeisha, wacha tu mimi nioe mtu mwingine. At least in the past we have felt bad when we've had cases where mtu ameham mtu. We've had cases of Gen Z's femicide. In this case, it seems like the man just left akaoa mtu mwingine. It's the wife who actually came. And she must have planned really
But
much.
that's not a man, Wanja.
What is it?
No, it's not a man. It's a pastor.
But even men of God have
marital
issues.
Those are the things now, that the sacrifices you make as a pastor. You enjoy your marriage.
No, God, as I said, God hates divorce, but he doesn't hate divorces. Maybe God is not angry with him.
See you.
I've heard Maria and I wonder, hey.
I know, even me.
Listen, I think that there's something. When I read that issue, I thought that the story was not it was not complete because of one fact. That there must have been a context behind it. A man cannot just wake up to go and get married in a church where he's been serving. That means he was not hiding it. He was not cheating. You know, when you go and you hide someone on the corner, you don't want your wife to find out. This one, the man was straightforward and came to church and said, I want to marry this woman. That means it was something which was open to everyone.
Clear.
Clearly, it seems that the first relationship was not working. And even the woman in the first relationship must have known, because for her to gather all the kids, 5 of them, and to bring them in the church, it means that she knew this man had moved on. And by the way, this woman was not coming to stop the marriage. This woman was coming to fight for wealth. This is what we are mistaking here. Most of the women who you see come to fight for their husbands. It's not because they love these men now. It's because they're seeing there's someone else, and if this man owned 5 acres of land, there's a new entrant who will be entitled to 2.5. Now, she looks and sees I have 5 kids. E 2.5 haiwezi tutosha. So it is not that the woman is fighting to have the pastor back. The woman is just fighting to take control of the property. And I think people should also know that when you're creating wealth, because the biggest problem in African setup is wealth and division of wealth. And many people are in marriages because they do not want to lose wealth. Otherwise, kwa your marriage, they're just there nominally.
That's true. That is so true. Even people just fight for, they have to make sure that they preserve the wealth and everything.
Only that.
But I feel like the public should be educated on something.
Like?
These people who go to stop weddings in churches, actually it's just drama. It's never real. You cannot stop a wedding that is in church. Because what happens is, at the AG, when they're applying for that certificate, you are given a notice to stop it from there. That is where you can stop a wedding.
Not now.
Now this is drama. Actually, the signing of the certificate is always an act. Like, let's just participate in signing. But in real sense, the certificate is with the AG. It has been signed. It's ready. So this is more like we are just showing the public. When people are going to do a wedding, they are given actually 60 to 60 days.
Yes,
To stop a wedding.
Hata huwa inaannouncewa church.
Huwa inaannouncewa, and it's supposed to announce
this 3 times.
Like mine was even announced in a local radio, I think, because the person who was joining it apparently.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. And that's why I say that naturally, there's no way this woman would just come from out of the blues.
It's just drama.
She knew. It's just drama.
That's true. And it's just, you want to hear more drama?
And
Yes.
Hey, let me tell you drama. So now guys, even they were fighting for their wealth. In Toy Market, there was fire that happened. Actually, and this has been a occurring issue. Toy Market was burnt down, and then what happened was a lot of guys now, they were there trying to expunge the fire, and then now the fire truck now comes around so many hours later, and the guys there, the traders, they chase them away. I'm like, why are you coming here and everything is already down, burnt down? And then guess who decides to come down? Mr. Dimples mwenyewe. And then the governor of Nairobi, he decides to come down, he was even unbuttoning, he's like, I'm ready to work with you guys. Immediately he's coming there, to console them and make sure that indeed we are here for you, to make sure that indeed that you will get the services that we offer as a county government. Wapi, did the people want to hear? They want to make it rain on them. Boom! They hit them with rocks, everything. Pa, 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 pa. He was covered up in there. Even him, he was even there with even the MCA of DNG was there.
Yeah, Woodley.
They were there, yes, exactly. So they were pelted with rocks and everything because people are tired, people are frustrated. Before I say my thoughts, I would love to hear what you think. Did you love it when the people are now making a train of the leaders instead of the other way around? They're making a train of the leaders.
I also have dimples, by the way.
Oh, okay. But
So people are angry. You don't go there after giving people so many fake promises and pretend to help when they have gotten a calamity like that one. Remember, this is someone's livelihood they've watched burn to the ground, and you go there with all this, how they are feeling first of all, then they see you, the person who's been promising and under delivering, and they know very well that you are not going to help, you're just going there to be seen. Sometimes I feel like we've gotten to a point where politicians are supposed to be heard and not seen, and not the other way around, because we hear them but we don't want to see them, especially when they're in a calamity. So what he went through it because he chose the wrong time to play hero. The right time for him to play hero has been happening since he was elected, but that day he chose the wrong time for him to play hero, because at that time when you see your business down because of a fire, and worst of all, these fires have been happening a lot in markets. So right now people need an explanation of why and how can we ensure that henceforth it's not going to happen. Not someone who is going to be buttoning up and coming to help when all they do is just speak and not act.
Speak and not act. Now, this issue of toy market, and I can see toy market, even some of us also buy from there sometimes. I can see in that geography, I can see Kibera, I can see densely populated areas there. But for me, this is not the first fire, and probably not the last. Separately, we've seen Gekomba. Yani Gekomba, kuchomeka hata ikwangi news because it has always happened. Then what I ask myself is, do fires start themselves or are fires started? And I learned about fires when I was a board member of a secondary school somewhere in Moranga. So one day the dome burnt. So one of the board members who is an expert in those disasters told us there's something called a fire audit. And by fire audit, when you get the experts, even if it's here, they can say this was an electrical fault. This was started because they look at it starts here, here, here. Then they can anticipate it was petrol, it moved. There's a way they know the fire audit. Nairobi is a city of land grabbing. And therefore, when you listen to those traders saying that kuna watu wanataka kuwafukuza, you cannot just think they are making up stories. We know that Toy Market is in a prime area, in a rich neighborhood near Gong Road. We know that Gekomba is a stone thrown away from the CBD. So these traders do not think that it's merely an issue of Sakaja coming to reimburse them Mabati. These traders could be having genuine fears about their land being grabbed. These traders could be knowing that there is someone who would see this land is worth hundreds of millions, lakini anaona hawa ni watu wadogo sana wakijenga vibanda za mabati na miti. So for me, when I see their anger, it's not merely the presence of Sakaja and how the fire stations zili delay. It could be they have a bigger story that kuna mtu amekuwa na hangaisha, anataka wahame, anataka kuchukua your land, and that's how such a prime land will become an apartment of a few rich individuals. For me, it's an issue of inequalities. And we spoke in the other show how some people are making, within 2 years, they have made hundreds of millions. But this is a trader who lives really hand to mouth. What they'll make today is what will determine what their children will eat and what have you and what have you. And then they'll come back tomorrow. So this is an issue of people's livelihoods at stake forever. Remember, there's no employment, what have you, what have you. So that is really where your food or bread and butter ugali comes from every day. So I had traders talk about fears of land grabbing, fears of someone wanting to kick them out, and therefore fears that these fires don't set themselves, they are set by a few individuals in a way of getting them out. So let's deal with the, you know, in my mother tongue we say, when you see someone with a little wound here, if you want it to heal completely, you remove the whoever is on top, but you also remove the pus. The pus in this matter, as the traders are saying, is land grabbing.
I think, Mwanja, you've really captured it well, but also the question I'll pose is, what has Sakaja done to the citizens? For those 2 years he's been in the office, there's no single scorecard you'd say this governor has managed to do for the Nairobians, and they have succeeded. If you look at the city, the potholes are ever there, bigger as usual. The pavement, this building of pavement, which he's never completed, they are still there, up and down. If you go to school feeding, kids are fed on a very poor diet. There are kids who cannot even eat that free feeding that he calls Nairobi. In fact, Sakaja's leadership of the city is worse than Sonko's.
Oh.
Wow.
Yes, it's worse than Sonko's.
Why would you say that? Why would you say
Bad
that?
comparison.
At least Sonko, you could pick one or two things which were working in Sonko era. Sonko would even take people water. I can assure you, if Sonko was a governor, even now,
Would have water.
people would have had water. The fire engine would have reached on time.
Garbage collection.
There would be, but this gentleman, and he's my friend, he's never done any garbage collection in the city. Look, when the Gikomba, not the Gikomba, when the toy market burnt there that time, he went and promised them that I will deliver for you mabatis to make, to reconstruct your stalls better. The time he came was again after another fire. He didn't even deliver the mabatis which he could have bought and brought. The fire engine didn't arrive on time.
Of course.
So what is he doing in the city hall?
Showing.
Showing off
Showing off, and that's why he came.
and telling people that he has dimples.
Okay,
Even
did
I'll
not
go
say
for-
yes.
Here's my take on this. My thing is this. The frustration of Kenyans is we are tired of being treated like side chicks because it means that we have to shout to get attention. We are the main chicks and we need to remind them that. And that we deserve now to be treated with the respect and that their budgets and their subsidiary other things that they have in mind for their own auxiliary stuff, it's not the main agenda. We are the main chicks. And we need to remind them that indeed, we are not side chicks here to only that when we scream is when you pay attention to us. No, we need to be catered to every single time and even pampered. That's what we need to be done. Because what happens is right now is a lot of Kenyan politicians, when do they jump? When we scream. Why do we protest? Because we are being treated like a side chick only because we have to jump for them to actually realize, by the way, we're here for working. We're not here just to actually jump and actually come here to cater to you and with like now just saying, yes, we still bring the babatis, yes, we'll still do whatever. And yet we know exactly what the problem is. But in fact, we're not willing and able, the leaders are not willing and able, not even willing and able, they don't have the goodwill to actually get the job done that they're put in there to do. And that is actually even why I even agree with all these protests.
But they
because
jumped.
these leaders people put in
They
check.
jumped during the campaign. They really jumped for
No, they
us
were
to
dancing.
vote.
There's dancing and then there's jumping.
Good. They danced and then we voted. Now this is our time to jump. So they've changed roles
Yeah,
for them
they-
to just come and eat money and do nothing.
Exactly. Hey, because we're tired of this because this needs to change.
But now the only thing that I would say is, can we know the cause of the fire and can it be corrected instead of you coming to promise?
They would even say, even not even cause the fire. That's what they said last time. How many times have we had CEO even saying that we'll get down to the bottom of this and these people will be prosecuted?
They're already in the bottom of
We
it.
do extensive investigation.
We will
Just
leave
madness.
no stone
Yeah, yeah.
unturned.
Nonsense. Huh?
We will leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, the stones we turned them, we threw them on them. That is how we kept it real.
It's been real. It's been real this week.
Samantha Wines, now available in all the leading wine stores.